Hello, I'm Professor Bordway with MBA Architectural, or MBA Educational Horizons, both companies. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, do architects really have design say-so? In the past, what we've encountered is different types of clients, of course, clients that can't make up their mind or don't know what they want, or you've got the other extreme where a client knows exactly what they want and you really don't have any room to design it all at all. You're just basically following their direction, you know. So we want to talk about both those types of clients in this video. And you know, one of the responsibilities of an architect is to make sure that your client is going to is understanding the end result, what the project's going to look like. Most clients and owners, I use client and owner synonymous, most clients basically don't have a 3D type of understanding like we do. I mean, we went to school and, you know, we know how to read a set of plans and documents and generate a set of documents and such. And so when we are walking through the floor plan, we can kind of visualize, you know, the ceiling heights and what it's going to look like and, you know, that type of thing. Whereas it's kind of presumptuous of us to expect a client sitting next to us or in the meeting when we open a set of drawings that they're understanding exactly to the level of what we're understanding. Okay. And so it's a matter of making sure that the client understands what they are being, the information that's being presented to them. Some clients will just, you know, sign off, approve, because, you know, we progressively send documents to the client, you know, as we're generating the set of documents progressively, you know. And, you know, I usually say 20, 40, 60, 80% level, you know, I'm sending to the client and getting their sign-offs and send back and so on. Because I do want to have that level of confirmation that I've updated the clients progressively. And but when they sign something, does that really mean they're understanding what they're signing? You know, and I know that's kind of a weak case in the fact of, well, I signed it, but I didn't understand it. You know, it's like, well, you should have signed it then. You know, it's like, so it's a matter of what's the weight of approvals then? You know, if a client signs and approves everything you submit to them, but then later they say, well, I didn't know what I was signing or looking at. You know, it's like, well, that's kind of ignorance on their part. But was it some lack of due diligence on ours in the in the mode of not making sure they are understanding what is being designed? Okay. So sometimes clients don't know what they want. So to get the ball rolling, you have to end up shooting in the dark and doing something and presenting it to them. And then they'll say, no, that's not what I want. Or, well, that kind of is, but let me, you know. And so at least you're moving forward now. You know, so sometimes you have to come in through the back door, as I say, and do it that way. And so it's a matter of, you know, kind of reflecting to a client that doesn't really know what they're looking at, information that can be understandable. So, I mean, you could offer 3D walkthroughs and models and renderings and, you know, take them to a similar space and, you know, this is the design we're trying to capture, you know, a lobby of a hotel or whatever it happens to be. And at least get them into the 3D mode, you know, that way. And so sometimes, you know, clients will sign off on certain progressive documents we're sending them, and then later say, well, that's not really what we wanted anyway, or whatever it is. Like, so, well, why'd you approve it? Yeah. And so it's a matter of trying to make sure that the client is understanding what is being presented. And keep in mind, as an architect, we can't make any decisions regarding the designs. I mean, those aren't decisions anyway, those are recommendations. And so when we design something according to the client's criteria, that's just a presentation and recommendation, because we don't decide anything. I mean, when you get to that understanding that an architect has no power to make any decisions on behalf of the owner or the agency, then you usually stay out of trouble. And so it's a matter of making sure the client understands that as well, because some clients think they hire you to make their decisions for them, and it's like, well, no, it doesn't work that way. So it's a matter of communicating to the client that as an architect, we're informers, educators, advisors, presenters, recommenders. I mean, we don't decide anything regarding client decisions or agency decisions. We can present to you, and we can just keep presenting. And that's kind of the gray area of this profession. It's like, how many presentations do you submit by the time there goes the whole budget. You're up to 5 different sets of schematics, or something. No, that's still not what I want. It's like, so when you're dealing with fickle clients like that, you got to really pin them down. Because the days of shooting in the dark and spinning wheels and such, I mean, those days are gone. I mean, we need to know exactly what the client has in mind. So we have to get into the mind of the client and understand what they want. So what we have is about a 4 or 5 page questionnaire. We present to the client at the beginning of a project. It's like, how many square feet? What functions do you want in this building? What kind of style do you want? Architectural style, and so we're trying to get to pin them down. We're trying to pin them down as early as possible, because the more accurate direction you're given, then the more productive you can be, and the less wasting your time presenting something that they don't want. So that's dealing with a client that doesn't know what they want. They know that they want to do something, but they don't know what they want to do. And so sometimes we'll have to end up showing them something that they don't want, just so we can get moving forward. Okay. And on the other hand, there's the client that knows exactly what they want, and they'll even spend time generating drawings and sending them to you. And then then in the back of my mind, I'm saying, well, why are they hiring me? I mean, as an architect, I mean, because I know that somewhere down the line they're going to say, well, he didn't design that, or she didn't design that, I did. It's like, well, what was the point of having an architect? I mean, the reason why you have an architect is for the knowledge of proper design and flow and function and and all of that, right? And so when a client submits a plan to you, and it's not a good plan, okay, and here we go with that. It's like, it complies with their criteria, and it complies with the agency issues and the budget and the schedule and all of that, but it's not a good design. Restrooms at the front entrance or something. And so it's a matter of recommending against this design. However, we will have to follow the design because that's what the client wants. And there's no violation in regards to codes or agency or client issues and things of that sort. So, but we have to do it with a letter, I mean, indicating that we recommend against this design. Sometimes the client will actually wait until you generate a design and then say, no, that's not what I want, this is what I want. So it's like, okay, well, there goes, 30 hours of my time and, that type of thing. And so it's a matter of trying to get that information out of the client as much as possible. I think somebody came up to me and said, well, do you have to stamp and sign your documents if you generate them? And as an architect, I have to reflect those documents were generated by a licensed architect. And so I confirm that by putting a statement, a copyright statement on schematics. I mean, you can copyright schematics, You don't have to wait until you stamp and sign the documents. These are ideas, These are your ideas. I mean, as an architect, keep in mind that ultimately the architect will retain all of the copyrights to the architectural documents. The consultants own their documents. They own the copyrights to their documents. That's why I don't stamp and sign my consultants' documents. They do, but they'll send them to me. I'll put the package together, submit it to the agency, and that type of thing. But when a client basically gives you a design and it's not a good design because it doesn't flow right, the adjacencies are not really appropriate, that type of thing, you have to recommend against this design, and here's the reasons why I'm doing so. However, if this is the design you want to follow, we will go ahead and generate the documents reflecting that, And we did that with one project recently, and the client came back and said, listen, we're over budget based on your design, and I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, that wasn't my design. That was your design. Okay. If you would have done it the way we designed it, probably would have come in, I think it would have come in a lot less expensive, And so you've got this kind of two types of clients, extreme clients, that don't know what they want. They don't know how to read a set of drawings. And then you've got to jump in and kind of do the due diligence, of getting them to lock in and teaching them how to read the set of drawings. Sometimes you have to sit there and go, okay, here's the front door, okay, and then I'm going to walk you through the floor plan, and that type of thing. So that way, they can kind of understand it as you're speaking, And so it's a matter of, do we really have design say so? The answer basically is no. It's like, we went to school for so long and took the exams and became licensed and all of that, and then, and then you're dealing with a client that gives you a design, and so now you got to follow. I mean, this is the real world. I mean, this is the stuff that school doesn't teach you, And unfortunately, it's kind of sometimes it's hard lessons to learn, but nonetheless, we have to understand what to do and what not to do in certain situations, to stay out of trouble and keep the client informed and educated, and everyone knows what their responsibilities are. That's important, And so, when a client submits a design to me, then we basically have to go from there, as far as I have to generate a letter, and this is not our design. Even though it might be a good design, I still have generated a letter saying this is not our design. This is the client's design, and we will follow this design since it does not violate any, codes and budget and schedule and that type of thing. Okay. And the other thing basically is sometimes clients will want you to put the project on slow. There's no such thing as on slow. It's like, when a client gives a project to my firm, and in our contract it indicates the time frame that we will spend on it, then that's the time we have to spend on it. The longer a project stays in your office, the more expensive it is to you, the architect. And so, there's an appropriate time frame for every project, and you don't want it to stay in your office longer than it needs to, or you don't want to crank it out to where there's a lot of mistakes or something. So there's an appropriate time frame for each type of project. But when a client doesn't get back to you, here's another issue. It's like, now the project's on hold or is being delayed by the client. And so you've got to notify the client. When you're principal of a firm, you have the client and agency, the two entities, to answer to. And so, what I tell employees in my firm basically is that don't sit there and wait for direction to follow you. You need to go find direction if you're lacking direction. So as a principal of a firm, if I'm lacking direction from the agency and the client, or the client, if not both, I've got to let them know. I need their direction, okay, so we can move forward. They're holding up the project, and so sometimes clients will come back to you after they delayed and not getting those approvals, that I talked about earlier, sending them at 20, 40, 60, 80% and so on, and it's like they could sit on that for 3 months. Now what's going on, And so it's a matter of of talking with the client that we got to stay on the schedule. Because if you don't document and communicate to the client when the delays are happening, after the fact doesn't hold any water. It's like a year later or something. It's like, and we still aren't in the building department, and so it just doesn't hold any water. We say, well, don't you remember when you delayed that? It's like, no. So you have to keep a history of the project, and the delays and so on, so it doesn't come back on you, because they'll start blaming you for delaying the project. And sometimes clients have amnesia or whatever. So anyway, it's a matter of, if they want to sit on the project after the documents have been generated, okay, and submitted to the agency, and plan checking is complete, and they have, usually, this is just rule of thumb, but verify with your local agency, of course, but where we're located, you have to have an inspection within 6 months, or the permit has to be issued after plan checking within 6 months. And then you have to have an inspection with 180 days or 6 months, But if you want the project to be delayed as the owner, then you can wait 6 months and write a letter and request another 6 months, and usually they'll give it to you. So now you have a year, of extension. You don't have to build it right away if financing is an issue and they're trying to get the proper loan, and so on. And so it's a matter of talking with the client about that. Is that we need to push it through our office at appropriate time frame. We can't be waiting for your delayed approvals. All right. And then if you want to sit on it for like a year, I mean, that's up to you later. And hopefully codes don't change and that type of thing. But I know sometimes pricing will, of course. Pricing fluctuates, I mean, the economy right now where we're at is, a building will cost about 3 times the amount it did a year ago. That's kind of what's going on with economy, And so, the client might hire a feasibility consultant to make some recommendations on, what to build, where to build, when to build, that type of thing. And so you might have a feasibility consultant to help out the client that way. But anyway, so I thought I'd kind of share some experience with you. And as I'm going through and thinking of these subjects, and then I'll kind of share that with you, and and hopefully it kind of helps you on your road of understanding for architecture and such. But again, my firm does seminars and videos and has materials and so on to help the candidates through the exam process as well. The ARE across the United States, and also the CSE. I've been doing it for over 30 years. And we have materials as well if you don't want the tutoring or the teleseminars we offer and that type of thing as well. But you can always look on our website, MBA, Mike Bravo Apple -architectural.com, and then kind of go through the website. If you have any questions, you can always call me as well. Okay? All right, well, you take care, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.